Hey guys, McNasty Customz here. Today we're going to review this kit to allow you, if you guys have the 99 to 07 Super Duties, this will allow you to put the 11 to 15 nose on your truck, and it's a bolt-on in your driveway. So we're showing you outside how to do this. It's going to be a simple video, and we're going to show you what all the brackets are and how to install this nose quickly. This is the kit that you will receive in the mail. Obviously this one's green, you will receive yours black. You're going to have your upper grill support bracket here, your two fender brackets left and right, your lower grill support brackets. You're going to receive the two hood brackets that allow you to move your hood pistons so your hood stay open just like it always did. There's two lower brackets that go this area here on the truck, so basically it holds your fender in place. You're going to get a bag of hardware with nut certs in it, everything you need. I'll show you later about the nut cert tool. This is all you would need as a special tool to install this entire front end. Other than that, it's a complete bolt-on. Also, as an option, we have the bumper bracket kit here. This will allow you to bolt the bumper on to the truck with no modifications, no welding, nothing. And this will be very strong. You get your two front main plates that allow you to move your bumper down, and then you get two outriggers left and right that bolt on the side of your frame, and that's what they will look like. The bumper bracket kit also comes with brackets to box your frame rail. Once you trim your frame, which we'll show you in a little bit later, you can slide these inside your frame, you can weld them in if you choose, and this will box your frame. This is an option. You don't have to put these in your frame if you don't want to. You don't have to use the bumper bracket kit if you don't want to, but this is the correct way of doing it. Installing the bumper any other way is going to be very weak, and you are going to have to make some kind of a bracket yourself to strengthen it up. So this is basically your two kits here to put the entire nose on. Lower we have the two radiator grill supports that you have to get from Ford. In the instructions, I have all the part numbers and everything you're going to need to put those on, and in a minute we're going to trim some of those. We're going to show you what goes on, and we're going to show you a quick install on how this basically works. So step one, what we're going to do here is what you're going to do is remove the entire nose off the truck. You're going to remove the entire nose exactly the way you see this one. You're going to remove your plastic cowl covers, and you're also going to remove your hood hinges. These are the templates that come inside the kit. You're going to want to cut it out on the black lines, so basically you can trim it, and when you're done it will look like something like this. There's two bolt holes right here. You take your factory bolts, you put them into your factory supports holes, the original holes, just like that. You take this, you press it on nicely, and you trace this up. These are the areas you're going to remove for the headlights. Then your lower grill bracket will sit in this hole here. On some trucks and some models, you may have to trim this little piece off, depending on the fenders, aftermarket, or whatever you're using. There's a tab that looks like my fingers that sit right above it on the new 11 and up fenders. So either your fender sits directly on top of this, or you may have to trim this small piece off. That all depends on what you're using for parts and what you're going to need for your individual truck. Try it first without trimming it, and then if you have to trim it, take it from there. The front frame needs to be trimmed, the front frame rails, which is not a crucial thing, and everybody gets crazy about it, but it's not really that big of a deal. So it's a small section, and it's behind, it's in front of the crush section on the frame. So it's not going to do anything. What you want to do is you're going to have 4 slots from your factory bumpers, the holes. You're going to take a level, and you're going to go right in the middle of the upper slots. Put a level right across, and draw a line. That's where you're going to want to go. Then you're going to want to go from the front of the frame back to the engine, 1 1/4 inches, and draw a line across the top of the frame. And then what you do is you make it look like this. You cut straight across and in 1 1/4, and then you cut straight down until you get to the cut you just had. This notches your front frame rail, and your radiator support lower bracket will sit right in here. The bumper bracket kit comes with these small pieces also, and if you want, you drop them in. You can bolt them into the tow hooks, and you can have it welded all the way across, and that will actually box your frame. These come. Next step would be trimming the hood hinges. We got to adjust some holes on the hood hinges back and forth, and we got to make a little bit of modification so it'll work. So what you want to start with is, this is the passenger side hood hinge. Here's the part numbers for it. What we want to do is we want to cut the antenna bracket off like I've done here. One quick cut right across, remove it. You don't need that. The next thing we're going to do is we need to oblong the holes out. The reason I do this for the lower and the upper is that we mount the hood one time and we can adjust it back and forth without having to remove it, and you can do this by yourself. So basically, you want to, when I have the black here, you want to use a die grinder and you want to make the holes look like the opposite side that I did here. So you want the holes to go forward. You want the hood to slide forward is the idea behind it. The next step is the lower holes here. We're going to open up the rear hole, which will go into your factory hole on the truck, so it looks like that. So where the black is, remove it, and it'll end up looking like that. So again, so we can go forward. And then Ford changed the brackets a little bit. What we want to do is we want to make a hole over here where I have, you'll see it when you put it on a truck, this hole will line up, this hole will not. This is what we want to do. I use just a grinder with a carbide tip on it. I get in there and you grind it out. Same thing with the holes down here. You just grind them out. And the idea again behind this, so if you look, everything's pointing forward. The hood hinge is the driver's side, will go on the truck, and we're oblonging the holes so everything slides forward when this is bolted on the truck. That'll help you one-time adjustability of the hood. You don't have to take the hood on and off. The next step basically is going to be, this is your lower grill support, and this is the 2 supplied lower grill support brackets. What you have to do is you have to trim off these upper edges, and a new bracket is going to replace it. So we need to trim this off so you can fit it into the truck. So I use a 4-inch grinder with a cutting disc, and I will chop this right off really quick. Just to show you, so we take that and we throw it away, because we don't want that. Then what we're going to do is we are going to locate the bracket right on top. There's a factory hole right here from Ford, goes into the factory, the first hole in my bracket. So it's going to drop on, and it's going to bolt on, and then you're going to drill any one of these holes over here and put a second one, you put a nut from the bottom. That's the passenger side, and we'll basically do the same thing. But we need to trim this whole lip off. So we cut it exactly the same way on that one side, and then we got to trim this lip off. That's the only addition. So I'll do that right now. Oh, this, I can take a hike. We don't need that no more. Then we want to finish trimming this lip off. Right across the front. And that's it for the trimming on this. The opposite side does the same thing. Bolt goes in there, it goes into the factory hole, and we're going to bolt these on straight, right across like that. So once we have this bracket trimmed, we're going to take this green bracket, drop it on top, and like I said, the front bolt lines up. You're going to drill additional bolt holes with the 1/4-inch drill bit. You'll drop it on. You'll bolt it on. Just use self-tappers. You press it over. We're just saying, for now, we're just hooking it up this way. What you're going to want to do is come back, and you're going to want to, once these holes are marked, and you're going to drill them out and put the nut certs. Put the nut certs that I supply in a kit behind it, so now you can bolt this on and off the truck. Very simple. And this is why we notched the frame rails in the front, so this piece can sit inside. So you're wondering why the frame rails are always being notched. The next part of the install is the upper grill bracket and the hood mount. Very simple. You unbolt your hood latch and cable, and you just drop it down. On certain year trucks, there's obviously different brackets. This is on the older truck. You slide this over. Slide it down into place where it's going to go. Find the factory hood bolts, the bolts here, and zip it on. Now, not all year trucks have all these bolts that exactly line up. So what you want to do is, if you don't have these bolts, you want to center this right in the bracket, this more or less goes over the original bolt holes where your hood latch went on. You want to drill as many of these as you want, put the nutserts in. We want one nutsert on each end of this. The edges, we want, you know, maybe a couple on top, and if you don't have any of these existing bolts, you want to put at least a bolt in the front and the back there. Once we have this upper grill support mounted onto the truck, the next point would be to mount the inner upper grill bracket, which just drops directly on top. All the bolts line up with my new bracket. You snug them up, and now you're going to have the upper and lower bracket installed to where you're going to need it. The upper bracket will bolt on, the grill will bolt onto the upper bracket, and it will clip into the lower bracket, and that would be everything you're going to need to install the grill. The next part of your install will be the fender brackets. Very simple. You remove your hood stop and your plastic hood stop. You put the hood stop directly into the stud that's welded here. These 3 holes are your original fender bolts, and these are your new fender bolt holes. You line the 3 holes directly on top of the old fender holes. You look down, you see them straight through, and then pretty much from that point forward, you're going to figure out wherever you want to drill a hole over here to put this bracket on. Again, I'm just self-tapping. And that is the install of this for the left, and it's the same to do on the other side. Then the next step we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing the hood hinges after you ground them out and slotted them up to where they got to go. They just bolt on exactly like the old ones, original ones did, in your holes, and then you'll have your hood hinges on. The last part of the bracket kit that's going to go on is these little L brackets. They slide into your fenders right here. This is what I do. I slide them on like this. They go in this direction. I slide them all the way down, and I snug it up with my fingers. So that bracket stays onto the fender like that. Then what you're going to want to do is hang the fender onto the truck. Now that your fender's hung on a truck, this bracket will be in here. What you do is you loosen the bolt, you push it against the side of the truck, and when you open the door, you can get the bracket, 2 self-tappers, right in with that little bracket. So that little bracket will hold it in there. That's what the L does. You snug it onto the fender, you put the fender up to where it goes, you mount the fender. That's pretty much the last bracket you deal with. When you get the fender in place, you snug that up with a couple of self-tappers. And what you want to do for final fit, this is just a tip for final fit, the fender more or less sits directly on top of this bracket. And you want to get your height over here to where you get everything. Your body line might not line up right away. The body line is all going to be adjusted from that bracket we just put on. So we're going to loosen that bracket up once you have it attached to the truck. You loosen the bracket up, you pull your fender up, which it'll raise your body line, and then you snug the bolt back in. That's where you get your body line from. You don't get your body line from trying to raise and lower the fender. The fender's very flimsy from Ford, and that's what you do. So you mount your fender exactly so it looks like it's in good shape where you want it, even though the body line's off. You loosen that bolt, you raise your body line, then you snug it up. So this is after all your brackets are mounted for my kit onto your truck. This will now allow you to put the stock sheet metal on a truck, the front end, like you would originally put it on an 11 to 14 truck, 15 truck. So we have an Excursion over here that has the nose on it already, and everything will work exactly like it's supposed to. The hood will stay open once you put your hood pistons in and a few other things. And you can see our brackets in here. You can see the fender brackets, how clean everything is. You can see our grill bracket once our grill's mounted up. Our headlights are in. Everything is sturdy. Nothing moves. There's nothing loose. Everything's as strong as it's supposed to be. You can see what where our hood hinges go. Our brackets we put in between as a spacer, and we raise the hood up a little bit. You can put these brackets on the bottom of the hinge, or you can put them in between the hood and the hinge and give you a different spacing, whatever your truck is going to require. This is where the hood pistons go. You put your ball piston, your ball stud right here. That was originally in your middle hole. You put one there, and you need one additional per side, so you need 2 more ball studs. And you put the ball studs with a nut I supply in the upper bracket, and that's how your pistons work. Your pistons will be bolted on like that. That's hold the hood open. You can see everything else. We adjust our hood stops so the hood will come down, match the top of this grill. Our grill's bolted on. One thing that I like to do real quick, fit and finish, is I just like to fold the end of the latch over so it gives you a square. So when you reach under, you have a nice area to do that. And this is basically the nose on the truck. All the body lines line up. This is the Fender. The bumper kit's not really, this isn't a bumper kit, this is just a half-assed one on there, but with the bumper kit it would look even nicer, it would be sturdier. This is what happens. This is what happens when you don't use the bumper bracket kit. You can move the bumper around, it's not sturdy. I mean, you can, this customer didn't want the bumper bracket kit, he didn't want to spend the money, but this is what you get. And with my bumper bracket kit, it doesn't do that, it's as solid as it would be stock.